Mary had a little lamb, lamb.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Donald Trump is waiting for a judge to decide the outcome of a case that accused the former president of exaggerating his wealth on a decade's worth of financial statements so he could get favorable terms on loans. In a dramatic conclusion to a contentious trial, Trump defied the judge and plowed ahead with a terse statement he was never authorized to give. "I'm an innocent man," Trump said. "I've been persecuted by someone running for office." Ignoring the judge's ground rules to stick to the facts, Trump sat at the defense table and attacked the case, saying, "What's happened here, sir, is a fraud on me." He attacked New York Attorney General Letitia James. "She sued me," he said, "to try to get publicity." And he attacked the judge, complaining, "You can't listen for 1 minute." The judge told Trump's attorney, "Control your client." The judge finally holding up his phone to signal Trump's time was up.
This is a case that should have never been brought, and I think we should be entitled to damages.
The Attorney General wants the judge to force Trump to pay $370 million in penalties and to bar him from doing business in New York.
No matter how powerful you are, no matter how rich you are, that no one is above the law.
Her team arguing Trump should be held accountable, asking would any of this persistent fraud have happened if it wasn't directed from the top by Mr. Trump. There was no jury, so the judge is going to decide the verdict himself. He has already held Trump liable and said he would decide by the end of the month whether to impose a fine or some other penalty that could significantly curtail Trump's ability to conduct any commercial real estate transaction for the foreseeable future.
Oh, God. So you know this case started before Joe Biden was president. Okay, just saying. All right. I mean, the lies that this man tells. And why is he always the victim? And why is that appealing to some people in this country that the wannabe president of the United States, who is also the former president of the United States, wants to be seen as a victim all the freaking time? He's never responsible for anything he does. He's not responsible for anything he says. He's not responsible for giving security clearances to people who were deemed to be not worthy of or dangerous to give security clearances to, a la Jared Kushner, okay? And now, you know, we have to go and bomb Yemen. Right? I mean, it's unbelievable. I don't know if you understand what was going on in Yemen before, but Yemen is a problem area because Yemen has had a civil war, yes, going on there for a really long time, since I think 2011. And it's a civil war because they couped their leader, okay? And the Saudis were very upset that they couped and that there was a move to sort of make Yemen into a Shia. It is always that. It is always the Sunni Shia thing, Saudi being Sunni, Iran being Shia, and Yemen looking like it was going to become an Iranian Shia country. And so Saudi Arabia decided that it was going to arm and it was going to support and it was going to give intel to the people who fought against a Shia government. All right. And that's been going on a really stinking long time. Again, all the H's, all the H's are Iranian, proxy groups. They are. It's like Hezbollah in Lebanon, proxy group for Iran, Hamas, Gaza, proxy group for Iran. Repeat after me. Houthis in Yemen, proxy group for Iran. Okay, so the Houthis have been given those Iranian drones that Russians love too. They've been appearing in the Ukrainian battlefield, which of course you've been told don't pay any attention to. Okay. But anyway, those Iranian drones have been given also to the Yemeni Houthis, which is an H group that is a proxy for Iran. And they've been firing them just like crazy people at merchant shipping, at commercial shipping in the Red Sea. And, countries that that have commercial shipping interests that are, bringing all of a sudden, having to do with, Israel. Oh, it's such bullcrap. So anyway, there was a ship full. It was a commercial ship full of jet fuel. jet fuel. And the Iranians have been giving drones to the Houthis, and they've been launching these drone strikes, and this one almost connected with a ship full of jet fuel, and everybody on that ship would have died. And, and so everybody, in the civilized world said, it's time to actually say, we're going to have to target your ability to go after these ships. And so for a half an hour last night, there was 60 different targets that were selected with precision bombing, smart bombs, not the dumb bombs that we saw being used in Gaza, which was terrible. I mean, but anyway, they targeted specifically the ability for the Houthi rebels to launch. And they say that they didn't decimate their ability to launch, but they totally degraded the ability that they had to launch. And that's what's going on. And of course, you have a breathless bunch of people go, this is it. This is the beginning of the Third World War. This is you understand that this is commercial shipping, right? This wasn't military stuff. This was a bunch of very aggravated corporate people that were just like, could somebody please, stop them from attacking our ships? Because the price of Brent crude has already gone up $2 a barrel. And if we can't ship, and if we can't conduct business in the Red Sea, if we got to find alternate routes, your people are going to pay. And governments around the world said, yeah, that's true. And so that's what happened. But what a packed week. I mean, this week was like, and you would never know it, right? Would you? Would you ever know? The trial in New York with Trump as a defendant, the civil one, this one won't take away his liberty. This trial is not going to put him behind bars. This trial could take away his ability to do business in Manhattan, to do business in New York State. It could. That could be one of the punishments that Judge Engoron actually prescribes at this point. But we don't know yet what will happen. It could be, Letitia James, the DA in Manhattan. She actually asked for $370 million worth of disgorgement. What does that mean? That means profits that were illegally gained by Donald Trump through fraud. And they've done the paperwork, okay? They've done the accounting, and they've come up with the number of dollars that Trump normally would not have, raked in had it not been for his devaluing properties for the purpose of taxation and increasing the value of properties for the purposes of insurance, and his, mysterious loan getting when, the man is constantly going bankrupt from, gaming the system through Mazars and et cetera, et cetera. Now, Weisselberg has already been adjudicated guilty in that particular instance. And this one was just a bench trial to determine the damages because Trump's been adjudicated guilty already. And this is something that people aren't told repeatedly. And that is a shanda. That's a sin against the media. Every time they talk about this case, they need to remind the American people that a verdict of guilt has already been taken, and that Trump waived his right to a jury trial. His attorneys did not want a jury trial. And I suspect, and I don't know, but I suspect it was because they felt they could not seat a jury that wasn't, against Donald Trump. In their minds, they decided that people from Staten Island didn't exist. Staten Island is very Republican. I just wanted to. And, of course, the uber rich are very Republican. They don't like paying taxes. But, they figured they would get out of jury duty. I don't know. But they didn't want a jury trial. And now Donald Trump is going, they took away my rights. No, your lawyers didn't want a jury. Your lawyers say. So that happened.
Clear.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
These are special properties. Real estate is an art, not a science. But you know what else is an art? You know what else isn't a science? Political motivated individuals. She's using this to paint a canvas that Donald Trump is a fraudster because they can't beat him in the polls. They can't beat him in the polls, so she ran on Trump because that was the only way she could win. And now today, after 11 weeks, after 3 years, we have concluded that he indeed committed no wrong. The Trump organization committed no wrong, and the kids have been dragged in just like the other defendants, and it is wrong. America needs to step up, and there's only one person who can do that. My client, Donald Trump. President Trump, everybody.
First of all, she's wearing a leather blouse. Okay, can I just say that? I don't know if that's real Balmain or that's, Balmain wannabe. Have no idea. I could have looked it up. Really, I could have. I could have looked at the Balmain website and figured out if it was this year's or last year's. I could have, because I'm a fan. It's like $4,500 for a blazer from Balmain. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. But being a lawyer is also an art, and she really sucks at it. She's really bad at it. This was her moment. And she said, my client, the former president, after 11 months, after 3 years, was found to have done nothing wrong. This was the damages portion of the trial. This was not the are you guilty or innocent portion of the trial. That portion of the trial already occurred because you, young woman there in your leather bustier, waived his right to a jury trial and asked the judge to have a bench trial, which actually happened. And at the end of that, he was found, the president of the United States, former, was found to have committed fraud. So what is she talking about? She's so bad at this. Now, normally I would not even show that to you, except that it's just so terrible. And you have to wonder, like, is this all that's left to represent him now? Are we at the bottom of the Balmain barrel? I don't know. So that happened. A lot of stuff happened. Hunter Biden showed up in Congress this week. He showed up in Congress to try to let Congress know that he is not in contempt of a congressional subpoena, which is being, alleged by people who actually of a congressional subpoena, meaning the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, meaning Andy Biggs, who sits on the Judiciary Committee and on the Oversight Committee. I mean, these people, Scott Perry, all of these people in contempt of Congress. They didn't, respond to their congressional subpoenas when they were issued congressional subpoenas. And now they're trying to, pretend that didn't happen. But Hunter Biden is somehow in contempt, and he keeps showing up. This is not the first time he showed up. He showed up before. And he said, I am here on the date that you wanted me to be here. I just don't want to be deposed behind closed doors. And you know why? Because you people lie. And they do, because Devon Archer, who was his partner apparently in crime. Devon Archer was his partner in one of these equity firms, these financial firms. He testified behind closed doors, and we've yet to see the entire transcript. I mean, they released portions of it, it is like, just random words they released, just like Burisma, Ukraine, China, Chinese businessman, like that, right? So Hunter Biden was like, no, I'm not going to let you cherry pick whatever it is that I will answer under oath honestly and truthfully for you. So let's do it in public, which you would think would be more transparent and we would enjoy. And by we, I mean all of us. People who think Hunter Biden is some sort of a guilty creature. People who are, embarrassed by the way he's been treated. People who are in support of people trying to recover from addiction. And people who are against people who are trying to recover from addiction. There's all kinds of, people in this country. But you would think that everybody would be interested in something like that. Everybody would be interested in watching a thing like that. The only ones that are not interested in watching a thing like that are Republicans, because a thing like that would actually kill their case that Joe Biden did something illegal, that Joe Biden, who released 22 years of his taxes, so you can see the years he made big money were the years he released books, the years he made big money were the years he went on book tours and was paid to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, you have 22 years of tax returns to actually go over with Joe Biden. It's not like a big mystery. So we're still waiting to see, what the result of that is, because they found him in contempt. The two committees did. Two committees, Oversight and Judiciary, where multiple members themselves are in contempt of Congress. Oh, So rich. It's so unbelievable. But anyway, who's going to enforce it? I don't know. We went through this before, remember? What, they got a little jail under the Congress, and why can't we bring them there and hold them? Why can't we fine them thousands of dollars a day for each day that they're in violation of a congressional subpoena? You know, we realized at the end of this toiling for an answer to the question, who holds and who enforces congressional subpoenas? The answer was no one. And here we were trying so hard to figure out what the founding fathers, wanted to have happen if congressional subpoenas were violated. Turns out it doesn't matter what they wanted. It's never going to happen because no one's going to enforce it. End of story. So much so that the people that are in violation had the committees. So there was that. And then Bill Belichick retired. Oh, he didn't retire. He was fired. Sort of, kind of. I don't think he's not retiring because, he's going to take one more coaching job, I think. I don't know where. Brett thinks he knows. But
I think it'll be the Chargers. They got an established quarterback.
The San Diego Chargers?
Yeah, he won't have to completely rebuild. The San Diego Chargers. I keep saying it all week. But
I don't blame you. I mean, I can't say the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, that's not happening with me. It's just not. But anyway, you think it's going to be the L.A.
Yeah, L.A. Chargers, because it's not a complete rebuild. He's stepping into a really good quarterback situation, and I think they will give him total control, which is what he's looking for. So.
Everybody is, trying to game this out. Nobody knows the answer to it, but, I did print out a very long article, which I was very proud to show Brett that I did.
And I was very proud of you
I did that because I didn't want you to question my intelligence or my preparedness, a la Thomas Massey, the Republican from Kentucky, who attacked your girl on CNN this morning. And for those of you who don't know, Kate Baldwin is Brett's favorite CNN reporter because he only watches it in the morning. And he's got it bad. I mean, he's got very go ahead, show yourself, Brett. He's got very strange taste in women. He goes all the way from a Sarah Huckabee Sanders in a Quaker outfit all the way to a very fit and trim
my naughty Quaker, yeah.
The naughty Quaker turns him on as much as a fit and trim yoga pant wearing Kate Baldwin does. And
love her.
So Thomas Massey appeared on her show this morning and tried to trash her. And she was having none of it. And what did he try to trash her on? Her intelligence and her preparedness. Which is so insulting and so misogynistic, and it was so ugly, and it was, and of course, she had every right to ask the question that she asked, because it wasn't a bill. He was part of the Republican House that introduced a resolution saying, "Oh, thank you so much. Israel has a right to exist," and all of the Republicans voted for it except for him. So she asked him, "Do you think that Israel has a right to?" And he went after her like, "Why are you asking me such a stupid question? If you would have checked my social media, what?" And she's like, "Oh no, no. You seriously are questioning my intelligence?" He said, "No, your preparedness."
Clear. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
I'll also talk about what's in that resolution.
Recognizes that denying Israel's right to exist is a form of anti-Semitism.
That's the name of the resolution. Congratulations.
You do not support that. I'm not reading the name of the resolution.
Congratulations, you're able to read the name of the resolution. I don't vote on the names.
Ooh, Congressman, I don't think you're trying to question my intelligence now, are you?
No, I'm just saying you don't have time to prepare for this like I did.
Do you mean the 2 pages that I read in 2 minutes this morning and highlighted the resolve that the House of Representatives?
Good for you. You took 2 minutes. There have been 19 resolutions. I know what's in all of them. I study them. And I say right on social media, if you'd done a little more research, you wouldn't have to ask me if I acknowledge Israel's right to exist. It's right there on my social media.
I can read I've read your social media. I also think, given what is stated in this resolution, it is worthy of re-asking.
I enjoy this dialogue. I hope I get to come back on and talk about what's in these bills again.
In these resolutions and in these statements made by Congress and in this resolution where everyone but you voted in support of, I'm happy to have you on anytime to discuss and will continue to do my research, and do not appreciate when someone even suggests or insinuates
I'm
that
going
I'm
to
not
suggest
prepared.
that you didn't have time to do the research that I've done. You did some research.
Congressman Massey, thank you for coming on.
So smarmy, so low, so ill prepared he was to, say why everybody voted for Israel's right to except for him, but she should check his social media, which she already did. And identifying a resolution or a sense of the House or, as a bill. Who's the dumb one there? Who's the smarmy, disgusting lowlife there? Who's the ill-prepared to do the interview person? Yeah, I don't think it was Brett's girl, Kate Baldwin. I don't think it was her.
The wrong one on the wrong day.
You can't attack any of these pundits or anchors. These aren't even pundits. These are anchors. These are news people. And they do their research. They do their homework. It's their reason for living is to get facts together and present them to you in a report. It's all that reporters do. It's what they do. And some are better than others, but most are pretty damn good if they're on national media, and she is pretty damn good. So I just the misogynistic, low level, of attack and bullying. And the second she stood up to him, you could see like the smirk just get wiped off his face. Anyway, so I wanted to be prepared on the Belichick. Is really the reason why. That came up for me. And anyway, so Belichick, he was let go, but he's only 14 wins away from tying Shula's record. So I don't think he's going to go quietly into that night, even though he's 71 years old. I think he's going to probably take another coaching job just so he can get 14 more wins or 15 and beat Shula's record, right? I just think that that's probably the case. So that happened this week too. And then the House. These intellectual geniuses, Thomas Massey's crowd, they literally rejected a funding bill to fund their own government again. Again. I mean, the reason that they got rid of McCarthy, the reason that they fired him, the reason that he was the shortest serving Speaker of the House in the history of the House is because they didn't want him to fund the government, to keep it open. All they want to do, the Republicans, is create chaos. That's all they want to do is create misery. And the way that they think that they're going to do it is by not funding the government, having the government shut down, and they think they're going to get their way with sealing a border. Sealing a border, meaning stopping commerce. Now, look what happened in the Red Sea when, a bunch of yahoos decided they were going to try and stop commerce. It doesn't go well, okay? It just doesn't go well. But that's kind of what's going on here in the House of Representatives. And now you got people sitting on freaking Steve Bannon's show, a guy who also committed fraud, which is just, it's stunning to me because he committed fraud against his own audience. He stole your money, the people that would watch that show and would have sent him money for the We Build the Wall campaign. Okay? The guy stole your money and used it for himself, and now he's got some, stupid little thing on Rumble, of all places. And Marge goes on the show and says, that she wants to vacate the speaker again. This is her idea. She wants to vacate the House chair again. Because she doesn't want to fund the government. I swear.
Right now, Mike Johnson is getting rolled in meeting after meeting after meeting. When he is talking to Jake Sullivan and Chuck Schumer every day and impressed with these Four Corners meetings, but he's not talking to me and other important members in our Republican conference at all about any of the negotiations and any of the plans and exactly what we want to see done. He's failing on the job. But the biggest red flag for me, Steve, right now that has me livid. is this deal with Ukraine.
Ukraine.
This is a losing war. It is a losing issue. The American people do not support it. Our border security is not a negotiating tool for the Ukraine war that the Pentagon loves and Joe Biden loves and the Democrats love, and that these rhino neocon Republicans and Nikki Haley is frothing at the mouth over because her donors support it. No. Mike Johnson should not be going in there with Chuck Schumer and saying, oh, yeah, we're going to make this deal where 5,000 illegal aliens, not migrants, cross the border every damn day so you can get $60 billion over to Zelensky, the most corrupt president in the world right now, because Ukraine is not the 51st state. Every day Mike Johnson gets closer and closer to this deal, brings me closer and closer to vacating the chair, because I have absolutely had it.
Marge, you got a 2-seat majority. That's what you got. She talks like, like the Democrats have absolutely no power. You understand that anything that gets done is going to have to get done through bipartisanship. You do understand that, right? No, she doesn't, because she's very busy lifting weights and showing her muscles. She's very busy being on Steve Bannon's show and doing absolutely nothing for the American people. Like literally nothing, not even funding the government. Not even the basic entry-level thing. She won't do it. She won't do it with a 2-seat majority. I mean, it's so sick. It's so sad that they want to vacate the seat of the speaker again, just for the chaotic result. Now, we got a deadline of January 19th to fund the government, and I really, really doubt her 2-seat majority is going to prevail in shutting down the government. I really don't think that's where the Republican Party in an election year is. You know, they need to run too. All of them. So, you know, this is the House of Representatives now. This is it. It's all threats. It's all, we'll remove you. It's all, we hate the speaker. He made a deal, a bipartisan deal to fund our own government. That's bad. We hate it. And they have no ideas of their own. They're the ones that tied Ukraine to the border, right? And then we said, okay, let's invest in the border. Oh no, we're not losing that issue. We lost abortion. We need immigration.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
What is clear is that the only way to get things done for the American people in the House of Representatives is through a bipartisan governing coalition. That's the only way forward. At this point, House Republicans can't organize a 2-car funeral. They can't do it. They can't even pass their own rule. And so it's not clear to me how anything gets done unless traditional Republicans come to the conclusion that they have to break from the MAGA extremists and join Democrats in governing in an enlightened, bipartisan way to solve problems for hardworking American taxpayers.
They're not interested in that, Hakeem, but I appreciate, the enunciation and the declaration that the only way to get anything done at all is to do a bipartisan bill to fund the government, or a bipartisan bill to do anything that we care about. You know, you think about the things we care about, right? Like a child tax credit. Okay, that can't happen, in this particular Congress. He's right. They couldn't organize a 2-car funeral. I mean, it's sad because they're not interested in organizing anything except chaos, except, not funding their own government. It's so obvious what's going on here. It is just so amazing that they have no ideas in their head that anybody would vote for. And so the only thing that they can do is to scare you. And the way to scare you is to shut down the government and then point at Joe Biden and say somehow he was responsible for it. Meanwhile, here you have a guy, Mike Johnson, who, obviously is the Speaker of the House for some weird-ass reason. And he's like, no, we have to fund our government. And they're like, I want to vacate the chair. I'm done with him. And then, you have like Boeing, you have freaking doors blowing off airplanes, right? They're not interested in any of this. Nothing that affects our lives does Congress want to deal with. They're not interested in the fact that, we have an Arctic blast now that's going to break records across the country. And it's all because of climate change, not the weather, but climate change. The jet stream is in a different place, so that cold air gets really far down now. It comes much further than the Arctic Circle. It goes down into Iowa, it goes down into Texas. This, another thing, is going to test the Texas grid yet again. And what's Greg Abbott talking about? Is he talking about the grid being okay and don't you worry, Texans? No, he's talking about the freaking border. And, while I admit that we need immigration reform, and I have always told you what needs to happen, is immigration reform has got to include a path to citizenship, which we don't have, for people who have been here 10, 15 years, who have done absolutely nothing, not even a jaywalking ticket. The whole time they've been here, they've done nothing but educate themselves, put themselves through school, followed our laws, done everything above board. There's no path to citizenship for the DACA kids, for the dreamers, right? None. And we also need to fix the asylum laws, and we need to put more judges down at the border to hear asylum claims, right? And we know that if we wanted to actually stop immigration from places like Honduras and El Salvador and Nicaragua, which is where it's coming from predominantly, then the wall that needs to be built is on Mexico's southern border. That's how you build a wall and get Mexico to pay for it. They build a border wall in their country on their southern border. Goes a really long way to solving a lot of problems. You know what I'm saying? But they're not interested in talking about real solutions for anything. They just want to point at stuff and say, this is chaotic, you see? And, it's chaotic because of Joe Biden. No, it was chaotic under Donald Trump, too. And it was chaotic under, the president before him, Obama. And it was chaotic, before him, under W. Meanwhile, now, if you look at border crossings today and yesterday and the day before, while it peaked in December, it's about 500 crossings in the last week. So something that Biden did, I guess we're going to have to give credit, has actually tamped down the illegal crossings. They don't want to talk about that. They don't. Not interested. But the two stories that I think were the most shocking and got no coverage, like none, okay, is the story of a woman in Ohio, believe it or not, who was brought to a grand jury so that they could hear evidence about whether or not to indict her on the charge. Oh, I can't even say it. It's so disgusting. On the charge of abusing a corpse. You know what I'm talking about, right? There was a woman in Ohio who had a miscarriage at home, and somebody found out that she had a miscarriage at home. In fact, a nurse found out that she had a miscarriage at home. Why did a nurse know? Well, because her name, I'll just call her Brittany. I don't want to say her last name, although it's in the newspaper. But Brittany is a 34-year-old woman in Warren, Ohio. And Brittany was pregnant, 21 weeks pregnant. And Brittany had her water break at 21 weeks. 22 is the cutoff in Ohio. Remember they did the constitutional amendment? Yeah, right? But 22 is the cutoff for getting any medical care, even if your water breaks, right? So at 21 weeks, she went to the hospital saying, my water broke, and there was a finding that said that her fetus was not viable. But they made her wait 8 hours in the hospital waiting room. 8 hours. They were punishing her. And after 8 hours, she was finally seen. That's where the determination that her fetus was not viable was made. And she was sent home. She was sent home. She went home, and she had a miscarriage in the toilet. of her house. And when she had gone to the hospital and they made her wait 8 hours, it was because it's like a scene out of a bad movie that used to get made like in the 40s, right, and the 50s. An ethics board at her hospital had to convene themselves to determine the course of treatment that they would actually allow to have happen in their hospital, because now she was at 22 weeks and they didn't know what they were allowed to do. So they had this meeting, and while they had this meeting, she went home, okay? And she passed the tissue at home in her toilet. Well, a nurse at the hospital called the Warren City Police and told the police department about the miscarriage, because she said, we need to locate the fetus. We need to find it. The police went to her house and found that the fetus was in her toilet and arrested her for abuse of a corpse. Because they love the fetus, you know. They love it so much. So she had to go before, this happened in October, she had to go before a grand jury, and the grand jury yesterday declined to charge her. They returned a verdict of no bill, which means we're not indicting you. They declined to indict her for abuse of a corpse. I mean, that's how sick we're letting ourselves get. There is absolutely no bottom to how sick these twisted people will get with regard to the life of a woman, in favor of a fetus that they claim they love, but they don't want to feed. How do we know this? Because this is the other story that got no coverage, okay? Like, very little. And you probably haven't even heard this. There was a bill in Congress that actually would call for the states to choose to opt in or out of a food program that would run through summer months for children who are out of school, who are missing that school lunch meal. And so this was a program that would allot $40, swear to God, you can't make this crap up, would allot $40 to parents of children who are school-age children during the summer months to sort of top off the food stamp benefit because they're missing a meal in the summertime because there is no school. $40 a month. Okay? Not a week, a month. $120 total for 3 months. And the Republicans in Congress couldn't make themselves say that that was something that needed to be funded and should go. So they left it up to the states to opt in or out. 15 Republican governors said no to that. 15 Republican governors. The governor of Iowa, the one that DeSantis is one that said no, okay? And then the Republican governor that endorsed DeSantis, she said no. You know why she said no to $40 a month for 3 months during the summer months to help kids, afford to get a lunch that they're not going to get in school? Childhood obesity. I swear to God. Kim Reynolds said the reason why she was opting out of $40 a month benefit to parents with school-age children not in school during the summer months. The reason why she said no is because she's fighting childhood obesity.
Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Today, a grand jury decided a Northeast Ohio woman will not be indicted on a felony charge of abuse of a corpse after miscarrying at home. The grand jury's decision comes after Brittany Watts had a miscarriage in September and was arrested a few weeks later. Police began investigating after a nurse called 911 saying she came into the hospital without the baby. Watts had reportedly been told days prior that her baby would not survive. Police say the found fetus was stuck in the toilet. Watts' attorney says she is grateful her client can now begin to heal.
I mean, what kind of a country are we? This is the 21st century, for the love of God, for the love of Pete, man. And this girl goes to the hospital because her water broke in her 21st week. She is made to wait for 8 hours in the ER. okay, to see somebody about this. Finally, after 8 hours, they confab, the doctors and the nurses do, and they decide that they can't help her. It's too close to 22 weeks, and they don't know what kind of services they can provide and still remain inside the law that would actually jail doctors or penalize women for having, a medical care after 22 weeks. But they said after the 8 hours of meeting that her fetus was not viable. Her water broke. They looked at the sonogram. They said, okay, it's the fetus is not alive. She was told to go home. She went home and had a miscarriage at home in her own bathroom and came back to the hospital so she could finally get medical attention. And a nurse, instead of giving her medical attention, calls the police on her. Do you know what happened after that? Not only did a nurse call the police on her and say, she came in here pregnant and now she comes in here, after, her water broke at home and she came in here looking for medical care and we decided we couldn't really do anything for her. So we sent her back home and she obviously did something to the fetus because now she's here and where's the baby? The police went to this woman's house and not only did they look in her toilet, but they took her toilet. They took the entire toilet out of her home. And then they brought the toilet to the morgue. The medical examiner determined that the fetus died in utero. The fetus died inside of her body, and her body expelled a dead fetus. And she still was charged with murder or abuse of a corpse. They couldn't charge her with murder. They charged her with abuse of a corpse and made to sit in front of a grand jury. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how low you're going to go. I honestly don't know. I don't know. But this is bizarro world. Idaho has made just about any medical attention during pregnancy illegal. Doctors are leaving Idaho. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think medical care will get better for pregnant people, or do you think medical care will get worse when you do stuff like this? I mean, it's so sad. It's so sick. It's so twisted. And then on the other side of the coin, the people who say, life is life and we have to protect life and we're pro-life, they're so not pro any living life, okay? They love the fetus. They don't even want to feed a child, okay? In the 18 months since Dobbs was sent back to the states, the Republican Party has had this opportunity to prove that they're not just anti-abortion, but that they are pro-children. And they have failed miserably at each and every single test, every single one. And the one that really, really sticks in my craw, and you should know, you should be able to have this one at your fingertips. And anytime you get into an argument with people who say they're pro-life, throw this in their freaking faces because it's so vile that they won't feed children $40 a month during 3 months, summer months, when school is closed, to sort of top off the food stamp benefit for poor parents. Now, you all know the child tax credit works so well. And I don't know if you know this. You should have this too. The child tax credit passed without any single Republican votes, okay? The child tax credit, when it passed in 2021, passed without any Republican votes. Nobody in the Republican Party voted for a child tax credit. The result of the child tax credit was that it took half of the children in this country who live in poverty out of poverty. They let it expire, and they will not bring it back up. That said, there was an opportunity here for them to vote for $40 a month to feed the children that they insist be birthed by people who cannot afford to have them. $120 total over the summer. And 15 Republican governors voted no. They would not opt in. They would not do it. And Kim Reynolds in Iowa who endorsed Ron DeSantis in Florida, both of them said no to $40 a month during the summer months for these kids. And her reason was the most disgusting thing I ever heard. It's not just that they're indifferent. It's not just that they're hostile about these ideas. It's that they scapegoat other people all the time to excuse their poor behavior and their lackluster stance on human life once it's living. She said she couldn't vote for this. She couldn't opt in, the state of Iowa, because, I swear to God, I'm losing my voice, because of the obesity epidemic among children in our country. You understand obesity is directly tied to, let's say, high fructose corn syrup, which is, kind of what Iowa has. That and delicious pork. But she actually said that she couldn't allow this program, this $40 a month, to go to parents of children who are already poor, to help them through the summer months, because she's fighting childhood obesity. Also, Nebraska said no. Jim Pillen, the governor of Nebraska, he said no. You know why he said no? He said no because he doesn't believe in welfare. Well, he certainly does believe in corporate welfare, because when the $2 trillion tax cut was passed, with Republicans voting, like drooling to get to the well to vote for it, right? Where did the benefits of that $2 trillion that was put on my back and your back? Where did the $2 trillion go? Where did it go? It went to corporate America. It went to the richest, top 1% of this country. It was corporate tax cuts. That's what it was. And these sickos made the corporate tax cuts permanent, but not the child tax credit. Go figure. But he doesn't believe in welfare. Jim Pillen, everybody, in Nebraska. DeSantis said no, same reason. Iowa Kim Reynolds actually said she's fighting childhood obesity. And because 15 Republican governors refused to do this, to opt in to this program, where the entire cost would have been paid by the federal government. It wouldn't have even cost them anything to do it. They still voted no. It's like the Medicaid expansion. They still voted no, okay? They just hate poor people. They just do. You should all just die right now. But they're the pro-life people, but you should just die, okay? But 15 governors that said no to this. You know how many kids are affected by this? 10 million. 10 million kids. And you got people out there that are just going to scream and yell about, the fetus. What a bunch of disingenuous, lying, smarmy-ass bastards. Really, you all are going to rot in hell. You are. It's amazing. It's stunning to me. You want to arrest women. You want to leave them in the waiting room. You want to let them die in parking lots because you're so pro-life, so pro-life. But when it comes to feeding babies, when it comes to feeding children, no.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
In 2022, Congress, in a bipartisan effort, placed this nationwide summer feeding program into the spending bill. Any family whose children are eligible for a free and reduced lunch will get an extra $40 a month per child during the summer months. It adds up to about $120. It's a historic new feeding program that the Biden administration thinks will really go a long way to helping reduce child hunger in the summer months, which does spike during June, July, and August. By January 1st, the governors had to sign a letter of intent saying that they were going to opt into this program. One by one, a lot of the Republican governors in these red states, Nebraska, Iowa, Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida, announced that they would not be participating. They said that the federal dollars were duplicating efforts that they had already made. The rules weren't finalized and that they would have to cover half the administrative costs. There's a lot of people on the right in their base who feel like the government is already overblown. And, the government is $1 trillion in debt. And this is a huge government program that they've launched now that's permanent. I think that's their argument, is that we're already spending too much. We've overspent during the pandemic and we need to get back to pre-pandemic spending levels. 29 million kids around the country would be eligible for this program. About 21 million will be helped by those who have joined up. And so that leaves about 8 million who are going to be uncovered.
They are some sick freaks, man. They really are. They'll spend almost $1 trillion on defense, on missiles, right, on planes, but they won't spend a few dollars on children. They won't give families $40 a month. The child tax credit we know works, okay? We understand it does. We saw it with our own eyes. And so I just want you to understand what front-running phonies they are. And don't call them hypocrites, because that's such a nice word for what they're doing. And they're literally allowing for people in our country, like little people, like tiny people, like the people that they claim they love, the people whose lives they say they value, to starve. Really, they don't want to help them get a lunch. I just so when they talk about $6.1 billion being, what do they call it, cleaved back from the coronavirus pandemic slush fund, this is part of it. WIC money for the pregnant women and women who just gave birth, and also this school lunch program. And I just, when you think about like some of these, like Pillen, okay? I don't know if you know like Jim Pillen at all, but he was a football player, Brett. It was just, yeah. So he was that. And then his family are a bunch of hog farmers, and quite frankly, he gets corporate welfare. A lot of it for being a gigantic Nebraska pork producer. He also does a lot of trade and sends pork over there. Vietnam is one of the big markets for them. So spare me this, you don't believe in welfare thing, and hence you're not going to opt into a program that would give $40 to feed a kid. I mean, it's just, they make me sick. They really do, because they're doing all this so that the money that would go to children, or the money that would go to pregnant women, or the money that would go to poor families with the child tax credit, working families, by the way, could then be redirected to corporate giving, right? To Jim Pillen. And so when he says no, as governor of Nebraska, to feeding children, he's saying yes to getting more corporate welfare for his family's company. You talk about a conflict of interest. And, nobody would care if he didn't say, oh, I'm against welfare as his reason. Nobody would care, okay? But he said it. And now everybody's got to look at what it is he's protecting. And it's his welfare, his corporate welfare. Joe on Long Island. Joe. I'm losing my voice. Joe. All right. James in Pittsburgh.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey.
The reason I called is that my wife, I'm 80 years old, but in the 70s, between my daughter and my son, my wife had 2 miscarriages.
It's common.
And both of them were at home, and where her water broke, and I'm just a steel worker, but I knew right then and there the baby wasn't going to make it. I took her to the hospital, but I was listening to your program, and I'm listening to what this woman is going through in Ohio, and I'm wondering, this is insanity. If anyone should be arrested, it should be the doctors and the nurse that turned her in. When that woman went there and had her water break, that baby was dead. It was done. Even I know that. And I could not believe what I was hearing when you were talking about what they're putting her through is a sin. She should sue the state of Ohio for what's going on. It's like I say, I went through it twice with my wife, and I've never thought about it until recently after they overturned Roe v. Wade, and that's all they talk about. And I still remember to this day that the doctor put down that both childs were aborted, and I remember getting mad, and I said, what are you doing? They go, well, we had to do that. That's the state law. Now, I'm talking in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I was just an average guy. I didn't know anything was going on. I mean, I was shook up over it, but I could not imagine them coming and arresting my wife after the trauma me and her went through of losing a child.
I know. It's just, this is cruelty for the sake of cruelty, right? Cruelty is the point. That's
right.
Right. Right.
And I just can't believe what that woman is going through. I mean, the trauma of anyone that has a child and loses it, that's a trauma for the couple. And to have all this legal stuff in front of you, that they might come and arrest your wife or arrest you because you were part of the abortion. You know, you didn't do it right when that child came out. Wait a minute, forget that stuff.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is so disgusting in that she went to the hospital looking for care. She couldn't get care. They sent her home. When she got home, she actually aborted, okay? She had a miscarriage in her own toilet and went back to the hospital saying, please now, can you help me? Can you treat me? I just lost the baby. Well, the nurse calls the police because she goes, we don't have the baby. We have the woman, but we don't have the baby. And they literally go to her house and take the entire toilet out and bring it to the morgue? What kind of people are these?
Right, exactly. I was listening to that, and I'm thinking to myself, we're going back to being in a cave again. This is reversed.
You know what it reminds me of, James? It reminds me of the Salem witch trials. You know, it's like
exactly.
Yep, they treated her like she was the Scarlet Letter Hester Prynne, right? Where for unlawful carnal knowledge, which is where that. See, that's an anagram. For unlawful carnal knowledge. But Hester Prynne, she had to wear the scarlet letter A, right? And then the witch trials ensued. This is exactly what they put this woman through. It's exactly what they did.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
In 15 seconds, should voters in their 20s plan on having to work until they're 70?
They should plan on their retirement age being increased, yes. We're going to change it to reflect more of what life expectancy should be.
Okay, so this is who they are. This is what they want. They want babies to die. And if you have a baby die at home, meaning it slips out of your uterus and, it ends up in your toilet because it can't survive in utero, you will be witch trialed. You will be taken to a grand jury. The toilet will be presented as evidence of your, abuse of the corpse. And Nikki Haley wants us all to work until we're 70. It's who they are. Now, why are they all about that? Why are they about punishing the people who would vote for them? Because they need the donor money more. They figure you're not going to vote anyway. They think what? Listen, the last election we had very, very high voter turnout, very high, which is why Joe Biden won. High voter turnout always favors Democrats. Low voter turnout always favors Republicans because there's less of them and more of us. So that's why they try to suppress the vote, number one. Number two, the highest turnout, I think about 2/3 of legitimate American voters, people who are allowed to vote, entitled to vote, who were, registered to vote, voted in the last election to make sure that Donald Trump didn't get his grubby little, tiny little hands on the levers of power yet again, right? And so now people are saying, well, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, I'm not in the mood. It's exhausting. It happened already. I need something new. I need fresh. I need strange. Oh, yeah, I know how you are. But honestly, so they're counting on low voter turnout. And that favors Republicans because Republicans have very few ideas that Americans like. In fact, I don't think they have any anymore. Okay? The abortion thing, the immigration thing. We're better at solving problems, okay? The abortion thing, if you're against abortion, how hard is it not to have one? What, it was tempting? It was so, it was hanging out there. It was like, I had to have one because it was there and I had to do it because it was there, it was available. That's your problem? Not mine. Shrink the government. Yeah, shrink it so small that it could fit inside my uterus. Great. But they want to do the same thing with Social Security. Why? Because they need the money that's in the lockbox to be out of the lockbox and being given to Jim Pillen and his pork producing family. They need to give the money to their donors. When you heard Chris Christie the other day on that hot mic, everybody made a big deal about him saying that Nikki Haley was going to get smoked, that she's not up for this. You know what actually was the most shocking part of that phone call? It was the amount of money that's already been spent in one damn state to win a caucus in Iowa. I mean, the numbers were astronomical. He said that Ron DeSantis had spent $68 million and that Nikki Haley had spent $59 million, and he only spent the low bargain basement price of $12 million. $12 million. For what? To prevail in the Iowa caucuses? I mean, it would be cheaper if you just went ahead and gave everybody, the food money. Like, gave them cash. It's incredible. Somebody do the math. Take the population of Iowa, add together 68 million, 59 million, 12 million. Okay, that's just three of the candidates. That doesn't include Vivek. That doesn't include Trump. Those are the three that we know because Chris Christie said it and put it out there, right? So add those together, and then whatever that number is, figure out what the population of Iowa is and divide it. I mean, this is insanity. Brother David.
It is indeed insanity.
It is.
Happy, frozen, frazzled, faith-based.
Oh, you're in Kansas.
Friday.
It's supposed to be like, I don't know, 40 below, 100 below.
Oh, well, not quite that below, but it is. It's like 11 today, and the wind chill factor takes it.
Where?
Negative in the minus thought. So yeah, it's cold.
So I'm
climate
wondering.
Change is a myth.
Yeah, because it's cold, and so they think it's global warming and that it has absolutely nothing to do with the jet stream that is bringing all this Arctic air further south. Okay, so whatever. We can't really talk to stupid people anymore. We just can't. But the question I have is bigger, okay? How do you play football in Buffalo?
It is a wonder to me that anyone can do anything in Buffalo right now.
Right, I know.
Because the love of money is still the root of all evil, always was, always will be. And that's finally what this all comes down to, is that the construct, the way we work our world is spinning forward while backwards, whereas the world always spins with energy balls for awe. And that is ignored by one side of this equation to the detriment of all. And that's beyond that. How much money is the team in Buffalo being offered to be, have their noses?
But it's not even about that. It's that they're going to get out there on the field. They're going to take a deep breath of sub-zero air, and the cilia, the little hairs in their lungs, they're going to freeze. I mean, how do you even do it? How do you play football in this weather? I don't even understand it. I was telling Brett this story when I was little. I was like a teenager or something, and I always thought I was fat. I still do, but it's crazy. It's madness. It's what people tell women. So I was a teenager. I was about 14 years old, and jogging was a thing, and everybody had the Sony Walkman. And I said, okay, I'm going to start jogging. That's how I'm going to lose weight. I went outside, and it was like a sub-zero day in New York. Okay, and I mean, my lungs froze to the point where I had to had to go back in the house, and I don't remember if I boiled water or if I turned on the hot water and I put a towel over my head to get the steam up to thaw out my lungs. I almost died.
And that's where we're at, and we ain't seen nothing yet on that front. Bless your heart. We all can end up in nomad land at this rate, pooping in buckets and living in RVs. If we're lucky.
Please.
But that's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
There are still more of us, and it has the one benefit of this, and what we've been seeing in those quote unquote debates, etc., is that the side that shows you who they are It's undeniable.
Well, both sides show you who they are. You have Democrats that say, let's do a child tax credit. You know why? It worked. We took half of our kids out of poverty. And, oh, by the way, during summer months, they don't get their school lunch, so let's give $40 to the parents for the month. That's $1 a day. It's like $1.10 a day. And that's too much for Jim Killen. Too much for Ron DeSantis. It's too much cash for, what's her name in Iowa, Kim Reynolds, because she's fighting childhood obesity. Well, why don't you do something about the high fructose corn syrup? Oh, but that's how Iowa makes its money. Yeah, I know. And like I said, nobody would say jack crap about any of this if they weren't giving you these BS excuses about why they don't want to spend $40 a month for 3 months to get a kid lunch.
Fatality. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
What you're looking at here is the state of Iowa, various cities. Here's Des Moines, for instance. This is the projected wind chill, -34 on Monday, and below it is the time it takes for exposed skin to actually reach frostbite. So you can go as little as 20 minutes with exposed skin and have frostbite conditions with that type of dangerous wind chill. This will be the coldest caucus day ever recorded. This is Des Moines, for instance. The actual forecast high temperature, -4 statewide, the coldest air in the month of January in the past 5 years. Will struggle to actually reach above the 0-degree mark across the entire state. Look how cold it is forecast. This is amongst a larger storm system that's bringing blizzard conditions as we speak and will currently add to one of the snowiest stretches that Iowa has ever experienced over the past 5 days. There's the blizzard warnings that stretch across Iowa and into the Midwest, part of a larger storm system. And Erica, we are extremely busy here in the Weather Center. Every single U.S. state has some sort of weather alert happening right now, including Alaska and Hawaii.
But look, see, Florida, no. Right now it's 83 degrees. It is. It's 83 degrees in Florida, partly sunny and 83 degrees. I know that because I'm looking at my computer and the weather's on there. It's,
The weather's paradise for sure.
So I know. It's it's always a trade-off. I get it. But like I said, shouldn't they not play in Buffalo and just bring the game down here? Is basically the point. Like, why wouldn't they do that? I don't understand why they wouldn't do. You're paying these guys. Some of them you're paying tens of millions of dollars. Safeguard their lungs. Bring them down here,
or at least give the ownership or the coaching staff a chance to mutually agree, hey, neither of us want to play here. Even the team that was home, hey, we say, let's go pick a neutral field with nice weather. At least give them the option.
Yeah. I mean, that was my question. I don't even understand how you could say to a team in Buffalo on Sunday that they need to, go there and play. I don't even know how people would survive it. And the idea that, I get that they have the warmers and they're going to sit on the sideline, they'll be covered and their arms are, but I watch them on the field. They're exposed, okay? A lot of them won't wear sleeves. I don't know what that's about, but I really worry about the lung part because that happened to me, and that is so freaking painful. I can't even explain to you. Well, I mean, most everybody in this country knows what freezing cold is, except for Florida. Beth in New Mexico.
Hi, Randi. Thank you so much for talking about the child tax credit. It's really so important. And there is I just found out that there is a proposed tax deal that's being worked out right now. And the child tax credit has some significant improvements in there. But did you know that the CTC, if nothing happens, the child tax credit is due to be reduced from $2,000 a year now to $1,000 next year.
I thought it was gone. I thought we didn't have one anymore.
No, we do have one, but it's just nowhere near as good as it was. And this is a step that if this goes through, and we have to really push to get it through, but if this goes through, it will have some significant improvements. And another thing about the child tax credit is that, as opposed to say a school lunch program or something, this puts the choice of what to do with the money in the hands of the parents, and lets them do what's best put the money where it's most needed for their family. So it's really such a great tool to help people. So it's really going to, for instance, it's going to make the child tax credit applicable per child. Right now, in a family, the first child gets the most amount that it can get, but then there's a reduced amount for other children. So this new deal.
So that is the one. You're talking about the when you file your taxes at the end of the year, you get some reduction in your tax obligation because you have children. Is that what?
That's right. That's the child tax credit. But
yes,
the neat thing about it is that it's
not. But it's not. The child tax credit that took half of the American kids that were in poverty out of poverty were direct monthly payments.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that expired. That went away. And I don't want people to be confused about what we're talking about here. So that particular payment, they had a payment for every month for a child under 16 and then children under 6. And it took half of the children that were living in poverty out of poverty. And the Republicans let it expire. And by the way, that child tax credit passed without one single solitary Republican vote. That's what's important about it. Tom in L.A.
Hey, Randy.
Hi.
First off, Tom, GL Pages.
Oh, hey.
Hey, so first, we the people ultimately are the government. Especially if we get big money out of politics, which is what we need to do to restore government back to we the people. I just wanted to talk about a couple things with messaging because you've taught me about messaging over the years.
Mm-hmm.
We really need to say a woman's right to choose versus big government's right to choose.
Yeah.
Or a woman's right to choose versus government's right to choose. Because just because a woman has the right to choose doesn't mean she's necessarily going to choose termination.
Right.
I mean, it's her choice. She's not a second-class citizen.
I just don't understand why the message has not been, if you don't want an abortion, don't have one.
Don't have one. Exactly. But the thing is, the media or even the Democrats fall right in line with this pro-choice, pro-death thing or pro-life thing. And it's like, we all know the opposite of pro-life is pro-death. So what the hell are you talking about? That's the Republican Party.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I don't have much time, I'm calling it climate catastrophe. No more climate change, just climate catastrophe to all these people that are out there. Because that's exactly what's going to happen if we don't get a handle on this thing. And it's already happening. The other thing I was going to tell you is that people need to start asking their legislatures. First off, there's 4 major areas or indices that people need to worry about, and that's health care. They spend about $16,000 a year on that. Child care, spend about $16,000 a year on that. Taxes, spend about $16,000 a year on that. And your mortgage or your rent, and spend about $16,000 a year on that. So people need to start asking their politicians. That's $64,000. And a person that makes $20 an hour only gets about $60,000 a year. So how the hell do they expect anybody to make it when they're already $4,000 in the hole before they even bought food, clothing, or they're paying back their loans for their credit cards or paying back their loans for their student loans? It's very, very simple, and people need to put this up on their board, and they need to say the average family makes about $60,000 a year, and right there, child care, taxes, mortgage, and health care, you got $64,000 a year. What are you going to do, people? So either the government's got to take over health care, government's got to take over child care, government's got to provide, mortgage relief or rental relief. Something's got to give. So sorry I'm on a soapbox. I just want to get it all out as much as I can because I know you respect me.
I do. I always have. I think, you're not only a person of high integrity, but you're a hardworking dude. I know you for years. But, listen, the government doesn't have to take over all this. What the government has to do is, insist on a living wage being a federal minimum, okay? So that people can't. I can't tell you how many people. I remember when my sister was, she was a hairdresser, okay, and she had Jess, and she had to decide, how was she going to go to work and get childcare. And it turned out that the child care was taking away almost every dollar she made being what do you call it? A beautician.
Cosmetologist.
No, a beautician, right? Just a hairdresser. So, right. And so, I mean, it was just so sick to watch. So our whole family chipped in to help her pay for child care so she could go to work. On days when she had clients, okay, she did okay. There are some days when a hairdresser goes to work and there's, one client the whole day, right? And you wait for a walk-in or whatever. And so right, and you don't make money that day. So, and her dream was always to have her own salon and stuff. And so we were trying to help her save, and get And, it was like everything was childcare. I mean, the bill for the childcare place was like insane. So I don't know. I don't know how many people are struggling with that, but your government, as long as it's a 2-seat majority of Republicans, they don't give a damn. Have a good weekend.